rematch of Super Bowl 59. Two teams that we have on the inside track to Super Bowl 60, but so much to work on between now and then. And when we look for a turning point in a football game, B-Mac, sometimes it's easier to find than others. My eyes go to that Travis Kelce moment down around the goal line. How costly was that for KC in the end?
It's very, very costly. I mean, having turnovers surface is always a costly thing, but to have a turnover in the red zone, it feels like double. It feels like 2 turnovers because you have an opportunity to put points on the scoreboard. Worst case scenario, you're kicking 3 points. Best case, you're scoring 7 points. But when you have turnovers in the red area, you take points off the scoreboard for yourself and you allow the opposing team to put points on the scoreboard. And that wasn't the game-defining play, but that was a massive blow for the Chiefs in terms of them not winning this ball game. That was a makeable throw and catch. And that's one of the things I've always praised the Kansas City Chiefs with offensively. They make the routine plays happen routinely. That's a routine throw, that's a routine route, that's a routine catch. But unfortunately today, it didn't happen routinely. And the Eagles, they're the wrong team you want to give extra possessions to because usually they cash in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That was a bad drop by Travis in the red zone, especially during that time of the game. We can't have those type of mistakes in the red zone because how vital that moment was. What that did for the Philadelphia Eagles was it kept points off the board, it killed time, and eventually, ultimately, helped them win the ball game because, like you just said, you cannot give the Philadelphia Eagles any extra time, because you got the tush push, you got Saquon Barkley,
Then you got the tush push again.
you got the tush push again. You know what I mean? So they in that moment, Travis have to make that catch.
And it's 13-10. Philadelphia is leading in that moment. There's 13 minutes left in the game. So each team maybe talking 2 possessions each that is remaining. But going in right there, let's say that the ball just goes on the ground. It's going to be 3rd and 6 from the 6. Whether you get it or not, you can tie the football game. That is a chip shot field goal where it is now 13-13. So you can talk about what was the difference in the game? It was 3 points. So that absolutely cost the team. And you go back to last week where Travis Kelce, he owned it after the fact, but running into Xavier Worthy, they didn't have Xavier Worthy today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because of Travis Kelce running into him, not getting his depth, the correct depth on the right route in that Friday game in Brazil. So 2 costly mistakes by a veteran on that team who otherwise should be better.
He raised his hand on that Worthy moment. I'm sure he'll raise his hand on this one because that's the zone beater sit-down stuff that he has made a Hall of Fame living off of. In this case, off of his hands and into the hands of the defense. Super Bowl rematches in the game to follow. Now 8-2 the way of the previous winner. Back in studio with the guys for further exploration. On the Eagles side of the ledger here, Pat P, I'm looking at an offense that, they're trying to get it to turn over, and we haven't seen it yet. It doesn't cost them here. 101 passing yards. Saquon hasn't hit the home run yet, but they lean on him in this game. What have you made of the offensive performance through 8 quarters?
I believe right now they're still trying to find their way. Obviously Kellen Moore's right now in New Orleans right now, so they're still trying to find their way under the new play call. And there is an art in calling plays, as we see as these new play callers starting to step into this role, because not only you have to be able to set plays up, but you have to be able to call them at the right time for your playmakers. You know what I mean? So they're still going through that learning curve right now, but I'm not worried about the Philadelphia Eagles because they're finding ways to win ball games. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's what you want to do in the first quarter of the season. Just find ways to win ball games, get in your groove. Now in that 2nd, 3rd quarter, 4th quarter of the season, now you're rolling. And let's see what happens in the playoffs.
18-1 their last 19, 16 in a row when Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback. We can nitpick the how, the where, the why, and the when. They've yet to be beaten in quite some time here now.
And, you go back to last week against the Dallas Cowboys, and Jalen Hurts, he took what the defense was giving him, right? He said, all right, you're going to let me go run, and you're going to turn your backs to me, so I'm just going to go run and get it. Today, Steve Spagnuolo and the Kansas City Chiefs defense, they didn't let him do that. He had 9 attempts for 15 yards, right? And so they were going to ride Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts is just not going to make a mistake. I think we have seen enough from Jalen Hurts, really the last 2 years especially. His mindset is by any means necessary. Yeah. That man right there smiling at you does not care if he wins the NFL MVP or not. He could not care less if he wins the MVP or Offensive Player of the Year or NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He doesn't care about the accolades. He just wants to win. And because this Eagles team is so multiple, they can win in so many ways. So he's almost a chameleon. right? Whatever you need me to take on, I will do it so long as we emerge with a W. And so far, they've done it twice.
They play what I call crock pot offense. It's a slow process, but it's very, very effective, right? It takes time. It's almost boring to watch, but it's so effective until Joe's point, when you look at the pedestrian numbers from Jalen Hurts, he still made the timely plays, right? He took what the defense was giving him. Remember the last time these two teams faced off in the Super Bowl? They neutralized the ground game, but they had plays made in the passing game. Steve Spagnuolo said, no, we're not going to allow Smitty and A.J. Brown to get off like they did in the Super Bowl. We're going to make sure we keep the roof over the house and protect any splash plays. Well, they did that, but they found ways to run the football. And then anytime you get in a scenario where it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, you know the tush push is coming. It's almost like the automatic that we talked about with Brandon Aubrey. You get in that certain sequence of a possession, you know what they're going to do. And today, it was a slow process, but guess what? When it's all said and done, that pot roast is going to taste so good.
3-2 now in the head-to-head. Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes. Team efforts, we know, but 3 in a row also after starting 0-2 against Mahomes. Mac, I want to come to you specifically on this one because it's a moment we always go back to. This is the Chiefs' first home loss since Christmas Day 2023.
Against the Raiders.
You punted on the dynasty on that day. You sat in that chair. I'm not raking you over the coals, but we've had this conversation ad nauseum almost. But that's what we do with dynasties. Where are you at on this version of the Chiefs right now? 2 weeks. We see them take steps forward in week 2, but still starting the season 0-2 for the first time since 2014.
I'm nowhere close to hitting the panic button, and here's why. They have Pat Mahomes, they have Andy Reid. And eventually, to Pat's point, they're going to figure things out. And being 0-2 is one thing, but if you're the Chiefs, you can still correct all of your wrongs. Remember a year ago, the Baltimore Ravens, if I'm not mistaken, they started off 0-2. They lost to the Chiefs, and I think week 2 they lost to the Raiders, a horrible loss. But they found a way to get things going. I have the same viewpoint with the Chiefs, and I think they're going to correct their wrongs. Now, I'll tell you this much now. I'll recant my statement if they lay down to the Giants next week in Meadowlands. Now you really got to reassess everything.
Call on the punt team again?
No question, but right now, they're okay. You know, when you're the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they didn't hoist the Sticky Lombardi, you're getting every opposing team's best effort because of the success you've had throughout this potential dynasty that you were in the midst of.
Down your top 2 receivers in this game. Throw into some guys that you need to make plays. You obviously need your star tight end to make more plays, but do you share that sentiment?
No, I was going to ask Mac. You definitely see more frustration on the field. By their top dogs on the field. Chris Jones Friday, Travis today and last Friday. So you can tell that the pressure is building in that organization. Like because it's almost like the pressure is on to get back to the Super Bowl, and they're not playing free as they used to be.
And it's unfamiliar territory. They've never really been in this situation where things are not clicking as fast as they normally click. Remember, they've been one of the best teams in the month of September.
Yes.
Going back since Pat Mahomes has been there. They've been one of the best teams in the month of September. For them to be 0-2, unfamiliar territory.
It's like that MJ stat. It's my favorite. The Bulls never lost 3 consecutive games from 1990 to 1998 with Michael Jordan on the team. This is the first 3 straight losing games in Patrick Mahomes' career. Do you sense a turning tide, or are you holding out reservation to assess what this team can really be, like we said, down the stretch?
I may be one of the last people who will ultimately grab a shovel.
I'm there with you.
And throw the dirt on the Kansas City Chiefs casket, okay? Because we also, and I think we're all keeping this very well in context, they've lost 3 straight. 2 of them have been to arguably the best team in the NFL in the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, most teams lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. And then the other one was to an LA Chargers team that always plays them close in the division when Justin Herbert had arguably his best game ever as a professional.
In Brazil.
And with a 10-hour plane ride. And so I'm not too worried about it. Travis Kelce has to play better, right? Has to play better. And what did we hear this offseason and this training camp? That he had slimmed down, that he was focused on ball. Everyone is talking about how this is his last ride. You talk about that pressure. Maybe people need to stop talking about this last ride and just focus and just enjoy the moment a little bit, to your point, Pat. The Chiefs, though, I can tell you this, are not pushing the panic button. in large part because they know their receivers are coming back. Rashee Rice serving a 6-game suspension. They just got to get to week 7 is what one source told me. Xavier Worthy hopefully coming back next week. There was some ridiculous talk about how the Chiefs could trade for Tyreek Hill. That's never happening. It's never happening. They are focused on getting their guys back. The only other thing I would say, I said Travis Kelce needs to play better. Isaiah Pacheco needs to play better as well. We have not seen a 60 rushing yard game from him since he fractured his fibula at the start of last season. It's been a long time. They have to get a run game if Pat Mahomes is going to look like Pat Mahomes week in, week out.
And to your point, I think this is the second straight game Pat Mahomes led them in rushing.
That can't keep happening.
It's not a good thing.
Facts.
It's part of the deal of being a dynasty is that we get to know them intimately. We have certain expectations of them through 2 games. The Chiefs not yet meeting them. More to come here on CBS Sports HQ as we got highlights and reaction from across your evening slate. As for that home win streak, just one shy of what would have been a franchise best 13-12 dating back to Christmas of 2023, and we start a streak anew with the Chiefs having to bounce back.